Two hybrid SUVs. Same red light. Same rain on the windshield. Same quiet hum coming from underneath the hood. To anyone standing on that corner, they look like they're doing the exact same thing. Quietly sipping gasoline. Quietly saving a little fuel. Quietly being hybrids. But if you could peel back the sheet metal right now, this instant, you'd see two completely different machines fighting the same war with two completely different weapons. One of them is Toyota. The other is Honda. And everyone has an opinion about which one actually builds the better system. But here's the question nobody answers honestly. Which one has the worst hybrid system? Not the most famous. Not the most talked about. The worst. Stick with me, because the answer is not what you think it is. Let's kill the biggest myth first, because it ruins this debate before it even starts. People judge a hybrid system by one number. Fuel economy. 40 miles per gallon, good. 35, bad. Case closed. But that number tells you almost nothing about what actually happens to this car over 10 years. Durability matters. Mechanical complexity matters. How hard the battery gets pushed, year after year, matters. And how the thing actually feels in your hands at 70 miles an hour. That matters more than most people admit. So before we crown a winner, or expose a loser, we need to understand what these two companies were actually trying to build. Because here's the twist nobody tells you. They weren't even trying to solve the same problem. Toyota's idea sounds almost too simple to work. Get rid of the transmission. Entirely. No gears shifting up and down like a normal car. Instead, something called a planetary gear set. Picture three people holding the same rope. Nobody is fully in control. But every tiny movement from one of them changes what the other two feel, instantly. That's the engine, the electric motor, and the wheels. Constantly negotiating, constantly adjusting, never quite letting go. There's no clutch. No traditional gearbox grinding away under load. Fewer parts. Fewer things that can break. And it shows. Some Toyota hybrids have crossed 500,000 miles as taxis without the transmission ever being opened. Let that sit for a second. 500,000 miles. Same transmission. Never touched. But, and this matters, it's not perfect. That engine revving, rubber band feeling under hard acceleration, that's the price of this simplicity. We'll come back to that. Now flip to Honda. And the philosophy is almost the opposite. Honda's system is called the IMMD. And here's the part that surprises people. Most of the time, Honda's gas engine isn't even connected to the wheels. It's just spinning quietly, making electricity, like a generator on a job site. The electric motor does almost all of the actual driving, which means most of the time, you're not really riding in a hybrid. You're riding in something that feels a lot like an EV, with a small gas engine humming along in the background, feeding it power. Only at highway speed does Honda finally lock in a direct mechanical link, letting the engine drive the wheels for efficiency. A lot of people assume Honda just copied Toyota's homework a few years late. That assumption could not be more wrong. And that difference is about to matter a lot more than you think. So on paper, this is exactly where Honda should start to fall apart. More switching. More software deciding when to hand off power. More moving parts working together in real time. More complexity almost always means more failure points. That's just how machines work. Right? Except, that's not what actually happened. Let's look at where Toyota genuinely wins. Decades of data. strong efficiency in stop-and-go traffic, a battery that barely gets stressed because the power split system spreads the load so evenly, and maintenance costs that are, frankly, embarrassingly low. This is why Toyota hybrids are the taxi of choice in cities from New York to Tokyo. 200,000 miles, 300,000, some past 400, still on the original hybrid battery. But here's where it falls short. That ECVT drone under hard acceleration, the engine screaming while the car slowly catches up to the noise, genuinely bothers people. The driving experience can feel disconnected, a little numb, especially once you leave the city. Toyota built a system optimized for one thing: longevity in daily grind driving. Step outside that zone, and you feel exactly what it wasn't built for. Now Honda. The driving feel is noticeably more alive, smoother, more linear. Because the electric motor is doing so much of the real work, it genuinely feels closer to driving an EV than a traditional hybrid. Quick off the line. Refined. Quiet in a different, more premium way. A lot of drivers who try both, back to back, actually prefer how a Honda hybrid moves. But the complexity is real. More parts. More software constantly deciding which mode to run in. And critically, Honda doesn't have the same mountain of 20-year taxi fleet data that Toyota does. So is that fear justified? Does more complexity actually mean fewer miles before something breaks? Let's stop guessing. Let's look at the actual evidence. This is the part most car videos skip. So, let's not skip it. When you dig into Consumer Reports reliability surveys, J.D. Power dependability studies, and independent testing from organizations like TÜV in Germany, a pattern shows up. And it's not the one you'd expect. Yes, Toyota dominates the highest mileage fleet data, but mostly because Toyota simply has more hybrids on the road, for longer, in higher numbers, globally. Here's the part that actually matters. When researchers isolate hybrid-specific failures, not general car problems, hybrid problems, Honda's newer systems are nowhere near as fragile as their internet reputation suggests. A huge share of the complaints blamed on hybrid unreliability on both brands turn out to have nothing to do with the hybrid system at all. A weak 12-volt battery, the small, boring battery that just starts the car, dies and gets blamed for a hybrid failure, skipped maintenance, neglected fluids, worn accessory parts. The actual hybrid hardware, the motors, the power electronics, even the high-voltage battery packs themselves after 200,000 miles. Remarkably resilient on both sides. So the assumption that Honda's complexity automatically means more breakdowns? It just doesn't hold up. And that brings us to something almost nobody talks about. The real weakness hiding in both systems. It's not reliability. Both companies solved that problem, in their own way, a long time ago. It's this: battery replacement cost, when it does eventually happen, is still brutal on both brands. Cold weather still eats into efficiency on both systems, more than either company likes to admit. And towing or sustained high-speed highway driving, the exact conditions hybrids were never really designed for, is where both Toyota and Honda quietly, consistently underperform their advertised numbers. Neither brand escapes this. That's the biggest failure nobody talks about. Not one system losing to the other. Both of them losing, quietly, to the same physics. So, which hybrid system is actually the worst? Here's the honest answer. And it's going to frustrate anyone looking for a clean villain. It depends entirely on what you're measuring. Long-term reliability, minimal maintenance, lowest cost of ownership over a decade, Toyota still holds a slight measurable edge. Not because Honda is worse, because Toyota simply has more years of proof stacked up behind it. Driving enjoyment, responsiveness, that smooth, connected feeling behind the wheel. Honda often wins that one outright. If you're looking for a loser here, Toyota isn't it. Honda isn't either. The real loser is the assumption that there's only one correct way to build a hybrid. And that's really the lesson hiding underneath all of this. Most people shop for hybrids the way they shop for phones. Comparing horsepower. Comparing the fuel economy sticker. Comparing price tags side by side like they're interchangeable. But the engineers who built these systems weren't thinking that way at all. They were thinking about philosophy. Tradeoffs. How real people actually drive, day after day, year after year. Toyota built for the daily grind. The school run. The commute. The taxi driver logging 300,000 miles without drama. Honda built for the driver who wants hybrid efficiency without giving up the feeling of actually driving something alive. They were never racing toward the same finish line. They just both happened to end up looking successful. So, let's go back to that red light where we started. Two hybrid SUVs, sitting quietly, side by side. Looking, from the outside, almost identical. You know better now. Underneath those hoods are two completely different philosophies. Two different bets on what a driver actually wants. And two systems that are each, in their own way, remarkably good at exactly what they were built to do. There is no worst hybrid system here. There's only the right system for the way you actually drive. So next time someone tells you one of these brands clearly builds the better hybrid, you'll know the real answer is a little more interesting than that. And if you're wondering whether any of this will even matter in a few years, because there's a technology quietly creeping up on both Toyota and Honda that most drivers haven't noticed yet, stay close. That one might change everything you think you know about efficient driving.